Pierre Poilievre holds a news conference to talk about the effects of Arrive scam and just how much money the Trudeau government sucked out of taxpayers' pockets, and the results are alarming. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. Pierre Poilievre held a press conference yesterday to talk a lot about what's come out of Arrive scam and Justin Trudeau's ridiculous levels of spending. Now, of course, I showcased a video yesterday of Pierre taking questions after that press conference and kind of, I guess you could say, shutting down the reporters. But what I really wanted to touch base on today is the real important facts of what took place in that conference or press junket, I guess you could say. If you look at the investigation or the inquiry into the scandalous nature of Arrive scam and the roughly $60 million, I believe, that was used to generate this so-called app. Parliamentary spending committees have come to the realization that this app shouldn't have cost any more than about $80,000. So how we get to 60 million is beyond me, but we're going to get into some of those facts as we go through this alarming information that Pierre Poilievre shares. Now, I've talked on the channel, and I will update everybody right now, that we've talked with Larry Brock's team. I've talked with Michael Barrett's team. We've talked with different representatives within the Conservative Party to try and get them onto this channel. And I'm happy to report that I've actually touched base with Stephanie Kusi and her team. And of course, I'm going to make sure at some point in the near future, I get Stephanie on the channel here. She has been working hard with Larry Brock, with Michael Barrett, with Mark Genouille about the inquiry into what happened with this money. Now, Stephanie has told us that here at Unacceptable Fringe that she is more than willing to come and sit on the channel. She's happy to. And I look forward to having her on. However, their schedules are very, very complex and busy with these hearings. Sometimes these hearings get out as late as 10 or 11 o'clock at night. They're long-term inquiries, and of course, these MPs don't always have time to come on and talk to the likes of people like me. So we're going to move to get Stephanie on here as soon as we can, and I'll keep you guys updated as to when that is happening, but it is booked for a later date, possibly the end of this month, sometime early in March. But we will be sitting down to get some more answers. But more importantly, Pierre Poilievre coming forward with what has been uncovered. And I have to say, this is highly, highly disturbing. I've cut past the first roughly 2 minutes of the introduction to this press conference because, quite frankly, it's a usual introduction statement of Pierre Poilievre about the last 8 years of Trudeau, where that's left Canadians, what it's done to people's finances, and about when you go to the grocery store, when you go to pay your mortgage, when you are trying to save to buy a home. Things like this are what you should be thinking about. We're going to get into per diems. We're going to get into bogus contracts, and I'm going to give my 2 cents as we go along here. It's a longer video, folks. I'll cover what we can. Let's just dive right into it.
Common sense Conservatives told him not to do Arrive scam, but he went ahead anyway. What were the results of that decision? Well, we now know the results. Arrive scam cost at least $60 million, 750 times over budget. $12 million could be unrelated to Arrivecan altogether, even though it was paid out for that purpose. Money given to GC Strategies, we were told it was $9 million, then it became $13 million, and now they say it was $19 million. 18% of the invoices were submitted by contractors who lacked information to determine if expenses were related to Arrivecan. GC Strategists were involved in writing the requirements for the very contract that they would win and profit from. Initial documentation leading to GC Strategies' first $2.3 million contract is missing. Average per diem costs, this is per person per day, were $1,900.
That's a lot to take in, so let's get back to what that's done. There's a multi-million-dollar contract that is missing. How convenient that they just can't find where that contract is when they need it. Now, this is purely speculation, folks, but it's something I want people to keep in the back of their minds. Do you remember when Justin Trudeau separated from Sophie? And it was then stated less than a week later that conflict of interest charges could never come Sophie's way now that they're separated. And she just happens to own a communications company, communications firm that takes government contracts. If you look at Justin Trudeau's net worth when he became prime minister, and I've talked about this to great length, $9 million when he took office. 8 years later, almost $100 million. Now, a lot of that was done during the pandemic, but Arrivescam came during the pandemic. How much of this went into Trudeau's pockets? How are these contracts missing? I don't know too many companies. I'll tell you right now, if I went to file my taxes this year and told Revenue Canada, oh, I'm sorry, all the receipts that I've submitted costs for here are missing, I would be told I either have to take those as personal costs or I would go to jail for tax fraud. There's no way you can tell me that a government can slip multiple millions of dollars away and say, we lost the paperwork. Sorry, our fault. Sorry, we'll do better next time. That's not how it works. The more alarming thing here is a per diem charge. If you don't know what a per diem is, if you don't understand the lingo, which most people should, per diems, if you work for, say, a company and you're sent away on a business trip, a per diem will be, say, like a daily allowance. So the company will say to you, you're gone for 3 days. Here's $200 per diem that can cover meals, that can cover taxi, whatever else. And then anything outside of that you do, whether it's entertainment, whether it's anything else, we've budgeted for what basics should cost you. And anything outside of that is your finances to pick up. So a $1,900 per diem per day, per person. Who spends $1,900 in a day? I know some people who spend $1,900 when you rack up their groceries, when you look at things they actually buy for themselves, $1,900 maybe in a couple of months. Now, I'm not including their mortgages, I'm not including their rent, their car payments. I'm talking like things people spend for themselves. Food, gasoline, 6 to 8 weeks, maybe more. This was a daily allowance of $1,900. Ridiculous. Let's continue.
Far higher than the normal and still exorbitant $675 per person per day the Trudeau government normally throws out the window. 10,000 travelers were wrongly quarantined by Trudeau's Arrivescam app. Single mothers who couldn't go to work because they got notice that they had to be quarantined. They weren't able to pay for their children's food because their wage was canceled by an app that locked them in their home, unable to work, and wrongly and unjustifiably so. No evidence to show CBSA employees complied with the Code of Conduct. In fact, they were invited to whiskey tasting and other luxurious treats from the very contractors that they were paying your money to.
When we talk about the CBSA, it's important to note, do you guys remember during the pandemic, we seen, there was a viral video that went around, and if you missed it, I'm sorry, I couldn't find it, searching through YouTube footage and whatnot. But there was a senior citizen who landed, I believe it was in Toronto. It was either Toronto or Vancouver. And they landed with, he landed with his daughter. His daughter was middle-aged and she had a cell phone. The senior citizen male did not have a cell phone. And she was arguing, saying he doesn't have the app. He can't get the app. He doesn't have a phone. She says, I have my phone, but he doesn't have the app. And they said, well, we're going to arrest him. We're going to give him a fine. We're going to give you, I think it was some lucrative $3,000 ridiculous fine or something like that. And of course, we've seen that go on constantly when people refused to simply provide the app or mention the app when landing in airports. And of course, people like Chris Sky, who were actually on call for some of these people, to come to the airport and tell the police, you don't have the right to arrest these people. You can give them their ticket, they'll leave, and they'll fight it in court because it's unjustified, because it's illegal. You cannot give people tickets for this. And to my knowledge, the majority of those tickets were thrown out. I'm not sure if any of them have been held to full account. I know some people paid them. I heard of ludicrous tickets during this time with Arrive Scam that people were paying. There was a couple that came back to Calgary, I believe, from volunteering with their church and were fined. It was multiple thousands of dollars for refusing. I think it was upwards of $10,000, and I'm not sure if they paid that fine or not. Again, I hope not. I hope nobody paid these fines. I know there are some, but let's continue.
And page 18, some subcontractors did not have the property security clearances, so Trudeau put your private information at risk. While Trudeau says he doesn't have enough money to scan those shipping containers that are taking your car that's been stolen and sending it off to the rest of the world, the very same department that is responsible for our borders and our ports took $60 million or more for the Arrive scam. More proof that after 8 years, Trudeau is not worth the cost, he's not worth the crime, he's not worth the corruption. That's why we need a common-sense Conservative government that will slap.
It's funny that Pierre mentions cost, crime, and corruption because all of those things seem to be tied to Justin Trudeau. He causes the cost, he causes the crime, and he's full of corruption. I couldn't find a better way to sum it up. I'm going to let this go for another minute or two, and then we're going to discuss, again, my thoughts moving out. Because, again, it's about a 12-minute video, and for the points of fair use, I do have to interject here and there, so we won't be going through the whole video, but let's continue for a moment here.
Slash the waste and end the corruption, that will respect your tax dollars. We will cap spending and cut waste to balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates. We will axe the carbon tax to lower your food, gas, and heating bills. We will lower income tax so hard work pays off again. We'll clear away the bureaucracy and taxes to build more homes. We'll bring jail and not bail for repeat violent offenders. And we will secure our borders, including our ports, to keep the drug dealers and smugglers from bringing drugs in and car thieves from taking your vehicles out. We will restore the common sense of the common people, united for our common home, with a clear agenda to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime, axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime. It's common sense. Let's bring it home.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Pierre delivering absolutely damning information. I can't think of any other way to put it, because when I hear about $1,900 a day per diems, I mean, even he says $657 a day is the norm for Liberals. Who spends even that much in a day? Who incurs those kind of costs? When you look at basic necessities, that's what per diems are supposed to cover. Per diems are supposed to cover things like if you have to go out for lunch, if you got to grab something, if you're sent out of town, and the company's going to, out of goodwill, cover some of your costs, because you're doing business during those times. Those are business write-offs. Now, anybody who owns a company or has a corporation in their home knows about the write-offs you can do in terms of per diem write-offs. I'm somebody who's, once again, I'll take meetings with people anytime I'm talking about Calgary Mayor stuff, anytime I'm talking about book stuff, anytime that I've wanted to interview somebody or talk to somebody about potentially sitting down for YouTube. Sometimes we'll go out to dinner or we'll go somewhere, and I'll end up covering those costs because the company can write those off in similar fashion to a per diem. However, what Justin Trudeau has done is $1,900 a day. You can't tell me that somebody is physically spending that $1,900 every 24 hours. We know darn well when they talk about those per diems that this is all paper that's been slid under the table, that's been moved to other accounts, that's lined pockets of corrupt bureaucracy. This is Canada. This is where we are. Justin Trudeau has not been the Prime Minister for 8 years of Canada. He's been the Crime Minister, and he has just done nothing more than pad his pockets and sit in an office and carry a title, because I don't know one thing this man has done to better our country in the 8 years that he's been here. I don't know anything he's going to continue to do that's going to give him anything more than the title of thief or crook. But let me know your comments down below. Are you as baffled as I am in terms of the actual numbers? We knew what was coming out of Arrive Scam. We knew what was being reported on. Again, I'm going to have Stephanie Kuzy here on the channel at some point in the near future to talk about these things, and I look forward to sitting down with her. But let me know your guys' thoughts. I'm more curious because when I heard about these per diems, when I heard about the contracts that were missing, blew my mind. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, ladies and gentlemen. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you're hitting that button, click the bell for notifications, do all the usual YouTube stuff, because YouTube hates us talking about Justin Trudeau. They're under the guise of the Liberal government's new censorship laws. So make sure to do all the usual YouTube stuff, comment, like, share it out, get it out to the people so that we're not buried in the algorithm. And join us this Friday for our new streaming show, Friday Night Fringe, here on the channel, where we go over everything that's happened this week. We talk about some of my points of views, and then we talk about what you guys want to talk about, and I take a little bit of Q&A in the chat, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in that stream this Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.